Welcome to a special Life Day episode of This Endorian Life, a Star Wars podcast from the Radio Meanwhile Network. My name is Steve Rudd.
I'm Nick Gunning, and this week we are traveling back to the High Republic era for the Young Jedi Adventures.
Yes, today we are discussing Season 1, Episode 19A, Life Day, with special guest Jesse Hamilton Ryals.
Jesse.
I had to get the full name in there.
Yeah, you have
Was that
to
on
do it.
special request?
Yeah.
Full name?
Special request, yeah.
I think people need to know. Jesse, welcome back. Steve and I have been hyping your return in the last couple of episodes. All positive,
I don't believe that for a second.
all really, really uplifting.
Encouraging. Yeah.
We're happy to have you back. Is the Life Day spirit emanating out of you? Are you in a happy Life Day zone?
No,
Whoa.
we're in the midst of kids, like, Christmas music program stuff, so
no.
I just kind of want to do the hibernation thing more than the Life Day thing.
Okay. Well, maybe this episode will help cheer you up. This is the first time we've talked about the Young Jedi Adventures or the High Republic era at all, so it's a new dawn. It's a new Life Day here on This Endorian Life.
Oh, I didn't know this was High Republic era.
It is High,
I didn't know that.
yeah. Early
Wow.
days.
Has anybody
Okay.
made jokes about, like, the High Republic, like Hello Republic? Have we made those jokes yet?
Oh, I see. I thought you were going for like a drug thing, like, "Hey, man, it's the High Republic," but you meant like, "Hi, hello."
Like hello,
Oh, yeah.
Okay. No.
I mean, there's lots of jokes to be made here. So, like,
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to workshop those now.
Work it out. Yeah. No, I think through the whole episode we just figure it out.
Do like behind the scenes episodes on the Patreon.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yep.
Today's episode was written by Katie Kineski and directed by Anthony Ball. Anyone? Very mature for both of you. This episode was released on Disney Plus on November 8th, 2023. Here's our cast. We have Liam James Ramos as Gumar, Julian Edwards as Jam, Jamal Avery Jr. as Kai Brightsaber, D. Bradley Baker as Nubs, Nassim Pedrad as Master Ziazana, and Piotr Michael as Yoda. Terrible Yoda voice. Can I just front load this? This is
it's
a terrible
so bad.
Yoda voice.
Yeah.
Not just Yoda voice, but like even the like syntax was wrong.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I've heard Yoda, like other people do Yoda. I mean, I feel like Yoda is like a Christopher Walken or a William Shatner. Like everybody has a Yoda impression, and this was among the worst I've heard.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
They had to work for that. So I think we need to note the work that went into finding a bad one.
yeah.
Well, it's like they found a guy whose voice sounds similar rather than just like a normal guy doing the voice, which would probably be better.
Probably.
Like just any guy out there. What's your best Yoda voice? Hey, that's pretty good. Come in and record some lines.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such an iconic voice. It's got, when it's off, it's like, that's weird. I know we're not talking about the second half of this episode, but I want to point out that Haley Joel Osment is in it as the character of Roxlow. So I did watch it.
No way! That's that voice.
And it was fun.
I was like, man, that is a very recognizable voice.
Yeah.
I could not pinpoint it.
Yeah, these are kind of like the second season of Ewoks where it's like 2 10-minute episodes make up a whole episode. And I wouldn't say that these two were linked, but the first one was Life Day and the second one was like snow themed. So we're going for something there.
I think we watched part of that with the kids and they were like, yeah, no, let's we can be done.
Done with it.
We can be
with it.
done.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Our featured cast member this week is Juliette Donenfeld, who plays Jedi Padawan Liz Soleil in Young Jedi Adventures. She was born in 2009 and already has an impressive resume, including voice work on She-Ra, Princess of Power, Pete the Cat, Batman Caped Crusader, and has done voice work for the Diary of the Wimpy Kid series, including Diary of a Wimpy Kid Christmas, Cabin Fever. So there's your holiday reference for you, pulled right in there. I also want to point out that I have Kai Brightstar's lightsaber right here.
No
my
way.
son has a million lightsabers, and I was like, I should get one too. And we were there, and I saw this one, and I was like, you know what? I'm going Kai Brightstar. So here it is. Wow. Yep. So, had you guys seen this at all before? Has this come across your... No?
You know,
Okay.
I have seen this episode before. I'm watching it, and I thought I actually had to go back in our history and be like, did we actually do this? Because I've seen this episode, and I wonder if it's because I was like just scrolling through Disney Plus and saw the show and just happened to see the episode Life Day and watched it.
Okay.
Or were we gonna do this one year? I don't even
we've
know.
never talked about it.
We've never
Is this where we make the joke about the High Republic? I
think you could.
That's why
I think you could.
Yeah.
I think
Okay,
that's
all right.
appropriate.
Probably was high.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, like but I've never seen a single frame of the show except for that episode.
Except for that episode.
So I must have like found it or something.
I have watched a bunch of this show with my son, and then I've been learning Portuguese, and so I've been I watched the first like probably 10 episodes of this in Portuguese audio with English subtitles just to kind of like practice it because it's like simple. So I have seen a bunch of this show, and it's clearly geared for like that Disney Junior, like, you know, kindergarten, 6, 7, 8-year-old age. But I don't know. I enjoy it. I find it pleasant and bright, and I grew up on like Mickey Mouse cartoons and stuff, and I'm kind of a sucker for that like bright, shiny, bubbly kind of art. So, you know, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the second episode, the villain is not very villainous. He's just he must be a recurring character because they were like, oh, this guy again, you know, and he recognized him, but like he was like a chicken or something, or like an eagle chicken or something.
Yes,
I'm not really sure, but
like there are villains and stuff. Like both of the episodes that I watched for this one today were very light on like lightsabers and action and stuff, and we're more just like, you know, light and fluffy. But they do get into it, and there is some good like Jedi action in it, even though it's for kids. So, you know, I like it, and I'm glad that we're covering it today. So, Steve, you want to dive into it?
Yeah, I'll take us out on the uber-detailed plot of Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures Life Day. Young Jedis Kai, Liss, and Nubs are invited to the Life Day festivities on the planet of Kashyyyk, along with their Jedi masters Zia and Yoda. Liss befriends a young Wookiee named Jogashaka, a.k.a. Joe, because she's working on her Wookiees. After a delicious meal, their host, Chief Wtajik, invites everyone to the lighting ceremony where Wookiees bring their Life Day orbs, which have been passed down through generations. Liss accidentally drops Joe's orb out of sight. The initiates and Joe work together to find Joe's lost orb in time for the Life Tree ceremony. Liss finds the orb, but at a cost. It accidentally broke, losing its blue light. Liss is devastated for breaking such a priceless heirloom. Nubs has an idea of how it can be fixed. They bring the orb to the ceremony to present to Chief Wtajik, who teaches them an important lesson. While the orbs are special, they are only a reminder of the love the Wookiees have for one another and all the memories and adventures they've shared. Even though it's broken, Joe hangs the orb as a reminder of their new friendship. Once hung, despite being broken and dark, Joe's orb begins to emit light, actually brightening all the others around it. The Jedi younglings and Joe all try their best and wish each other a happy Life Day. Roll credits.
Aww.
I will say the fact that the thing lit up at the end, the orb lit up even though it was broken. My son Isaac mentioned that as his favorite part. So like, he's 8, so that was meaningful for him.
Okay, touched his little heart. That's cute.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, so it's fun. Something finally got through. Listen,
yeah.
I know it's been a year, but do you guys remember that last year when we did the Life Day Treasury, it was a story about Lumpy's orb breaking? Do you remember that?
Oh,
well, trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me. It's 2 years in a row. Okay. Well, Lumpy, or you remember he wanted to go by Waru because he's a teenager.
Yeah.
But his orb broke, and the message was kind of like, well, hey, man, it's not about the orb, it's about family. And this had kind of a similar message. I just thought that was a funny coincidence considering, you know, the topic last year.
Is it a coincidence or is it bad writing?
Is it plagiarism?
No, plagiarism. No.
Consult. We can start with the radio meanwhile.
I want them to cite their sources on this one.
Steve, I feel like we have spent the last, I don't know how many years, talking about the Ewoks and the droids completely lacking in like bright and vibrant colors. So this started and I was like, you know, because they were so colorful. I really liked the look. So let's start with that. You know, kind of the first time you guys are digging into this show. What do you think of it visually?
I liked it. I think you're right. It's like a pleasant look, and it kind of reminds me of the Star Trek Prodigy style, right? This is like the quintessential modern, like post 2010 cartoon look, I'd say. And I mean, it flows nicely, right? It's not wonky. The colors are good.
It's very expressive, and the colors are nice and deep, and even in a setting like this where you do have a lot of brown. I mean, you have a lot of Wookiees, you have a lot of trees, you have a lot of wood.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a wash of brown. It really
wasn't a
felt
wash.
like colors were popping, and I think the look of the core three, really, like the main like Jedi Padawans that we're following, they have a nice balance between the three of them. And, you know, the big, bright, expressive eyes and stuff, I just, you know, to me that feels like kind of a throwback to maybe
and
more
there's
like...
depth.
Yeah.
There's lots of depth, right? They're not. It's not like they're always standing in front of a wall, which is what our other cartoons, you know, classic cartoons were like. This felt big, right? You're in the trees, but it felt big. What do you think, Jesse?
Yeah, I thought the colors it was quite vibrant. I try and avoid children's cartoons as much as possible anymore because my kids are madly in love with things like Captain Underpants, and they love it, and that's great, and I cannot stand it.
Yeah.
And so I just put on my... you're triggering me, Steve. Trigger warning. I just put on my headphones. But other than like my own traumatic reactions, I did notice that like each of the Padawans were very different and vibrant in that, and I thought that was nice. And I hadn't thought about the different, like that there wasn't really any brown until you mentioned it. But as you think about it, for it being Wookiees in trees, there was a lot of variation in color, which is nice, and I think it helps me mentally to survive some of these episodes. And,
I sort of wish that we had done, like, prior to this, had done a more action-packed episode, just because, you know, the comparison, I think, would have been a little bit more obvious. But when they're, like, you know, off in a ship and there's, like, ship warfare, or they, you know, run into their, like, nemesis, and, you know, you do have, like, lightsaber duels and everything, this felt like a very, like, we are doing a holiday special of this show. It was a much... The vibe was very different, and, you know, it felt quite a contrast from the more adventure-heavy. You know, I think it really lives up to that Jedi Adventures kind of name. So this was a mellow episode, which I think works for Life Day, but is probably not a good start, you know? Probably not a good episode 1 for you to jump in on.
Right.
So wait a second. Do they have, like, a villain, a kid villain that they is, like...
Yeah,
I just find some of that stuff funny where it's like, no, there's not only are there the bad guys, but there's like the kid version of the bad guys. So like they're bad, but not totally awful, but like they would still get put in timeout, but like bad. Finding that balance between...
It does pull some fun voice cast people, like Tig Notaro is in it sometimes as a sort of a rogue traitor kind of character, and I think it succeeds at Steve and I try not to say that something is Star Wars or isn't Star Wars, but we end up doing that all the time. And I'm going to say it here. This does feel like I'm watching a Star Wars show, even though it does
feel like Star Wars.
Yeah, even though it's aimed for such a younger age, it doesn't seem like this is a kiddie show with like a Star Wars skins put on it. Like it does feel like you're telling a Star Wars story to me, and I do really appreciate that about the show in general.
Yeah. I think they did that to some degree with the Life Day episode. Like they had Star Wars stuff there. They were on Kashyyyk. They had Wookiees. They had a couple of random aliens. Yeah. They, you know, they're running around in the
market.
After the orb. Yeah, in the market. Yeah. They had Star Wars things there. You couldn't just mix and match with another cartoon. It was a Star Wars take on it.
Yeah, and, you know, unlike the Ewoks in the Droids show, like, we did get the music. Like, the music came in, I think just once did we get the sort of ba 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 ba, you know, in a nice, like, it was used really subtly and just briefly, but it was kind of like, hey, Star Wars music, and it was pretty exciting.
It is funny how much that music really gets you.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. Even now, like I still like if we decide to watch a Star Wars movie like movie night kind of thing, I'll still get the goosebumps as the opening credits go. Yeah. And my oldest has started learning guitar, and so he'll do the Star Wars theme. Oh wow. And it's like even then it's like you know, he does like just the beginning part of it, but it's still like there's part of me that's like, yes, let's go. Yeah. We're starting the trailer now. Oh no, he's just playing it on the guitar. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's true though. I mean, it really It's such an iconic theme. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just John Williams. It's same with like the Indiana Jones theme or whatever. It's like you hear it and you are just right in that place. It's like no matter what you were doing, it happens, and it's like, wait, what?
You know exactly what's going on in the movie at that moment. Yeah,
Steve, I think watching this, like having just finished our last Ewok comic and finishing the show a while back, it occurred to me that this is probably the closest comparison to the original Ewok show, just in that all the other Star Wars animation that's kind of around this is not really geared towards young kids. Like Clone Wars, I think can kind of lean back, as can Rebels, but like their target audience is not school-age kids. Yeah. I think they're written so that school-age kids can watch most of the episodes, but
there are complexities in
swinging
Clone Wars.
for old bros like us. So
to
watch this show, I could see a lot of hallmarks that harken back to things we used to talk about. And so, Steve, I wanted to put to you a question that we used to ask every episode: what was the moral lesson in today's episode?
Ooh. Well, the obvious lesson, they just kind of blurted it out, that the orbs were there not to be the remembrance, but as a reminder of the relationships that you make, the friends that you make, the happy times, right? And it's almost like regular ornaments, right? We have ornaments and you pull them out every year and you put them on a tree and you're like, oh, remember that? Or there's a paper ornament that we have that I made in 1987, and every time we bring it out, Tara goes, this ornament's as old as I am, this piece of paper, and it's like, it still exists, it still
historical
exists.
Documents.
Yeah, it's basically just a bunch of color scribbled, and then it probably just went back to play or something.
Yeah.
Well, my parents kept it, right? And so there's like the stories of things that have happened, and we pull ornaments out, and I like last year I was fiddling with I got a Buffalo Bills ornament, and I was like just touching it, and I dropped it and shattered it. And so we still now remember, remember that time that you dropped your ornament? And I'm like, yeah, we don't even have it. We still remember it, right? And so I think the, the lesson in this is that things, it's not about the things, it's about the relationships we make, the friends we make, the adventures they share together, right? And so, that's the moral lesson. I forgot about that.
That used to be like a thing every episode. I think there's that, and I think there's also, teamwork makes the dream work, because she is so desperate to, she made this mistake, and now she's going to fix it on her own. And if she would have, they keep being like, well, what if we come up with a plan and we search everything together? And she's like, yeah, I got to go and solve this thing.
Well,
and then
I
ends
did
up
it,
causing
so I
more
need to
problems.
fix it.
And so. But that, I wasn't even thinking in terms of comparing it to Ewoks, but as that was kind of playing out and that little morality tale for kids was coming through, I was like, this is what they did back in the day when it was like He-Man. How He-Man, every episode of He-Man would end with being like, now remember, kids, always pay your taxes, or whatever, He-Man wanted to teach you that week.
But I like that. I like how there are special little things in there to kind of, insert yes, we are good for this reason. You should treat your parents well. You should treat your friends, but you shouldn't lie. You should, things like that. I'm okay with that. They did it. They did this one pretty well. I
think it really succeeds as child's entertainment also, because it's a fun story and you got a little bit of a, remember kids kind of moment in there.
Yeah. This is this kind of episode is what we talked about. Man, wouldn't it have been great if there was just an episode of the Ewoks just in the Ewok village?
Oh, true.
And here we are. It's all in Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
In the village in Kashyyyk, and and it worked. And it's why couldn't they have done this?
I know.
In Ewoks and just
kind
done
of primed me to be expecting some external force to break in and steal the orbs or whatever. But I do think it's funny that now 2 years in a row we've had these things about Life Day orbs breaking, because that is such a. I feel like everyone has those breaking ornament story. When my wife and I, after we'd been married a couple of years, we were like, let's get a really a nice set of ornaments and have a grown up Christmas tree. Which we did, and we still have those ornaments, and they're paper thin. And at this point, it's not Christmas unless Hillary has shattered one of those priceless Heirlooms from the early days of our.
Got to use them also to defend your house when the burglars break in.
That's
right?
true. That's what Home Alone taught us.
Yeah.
But now when we get those ornaments out, my son is like, "Oh, be careful! Those are the ornaments that break all the time." So it is a very relatable kind of thing that like these orbs are broken, and it did kind of remind me of in Attack of the Clones when they're in like the droid factory in the middle, and it's just like a series of like and things happening. Kind of reminded me of that. Where she's just
it was like that
because,
it was like a bucket on a zip line type machine thing, and it did have that kind of feel to it.
Yes, my kids actually mentioned that.
Did they really?
Yeah, I think Simon was like, "This is kind of like that thing where they're in the factory."
Yeah,
I was like,
that's exactly. Should we be getting Simon on this podcast? I mean,
no.
Oh no. Okay. All right.
No. Oh yeah. Right.
We can't afford him. That's fine.
Yeah. No. You think I'm bad?
Too much
this is
knowledge.
like a 14-year-old version of me that doesn't have the experience of. There'd be a lot of channels that would be muted. I think.
I see. All right. It's such a tropey thing to have this like, oh no, the thing that we need, we dropped it. I mean, Indiana Jones, right? Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Getting a Temple of Doom where, the antidote is kicking around the whole ballroom and he's chasing it around. I mean, it's always a crowd pleaser, but it's definitely like a let's do the thing where, and I thought this used it pretty well. But
that's interesting because that is basically my Oak of Arc.
Let's get into it. All right, Oak of Arc.
That it was too convenient, right?
Yeah.
That like, oh, she broke it, and it's not about the orb, it's about the relationships, and so Joe's like, I want to go hang it, and Kai or Liz, or it was Liz, Kai's the boy, Liz was like, oh, you're gonna hang it anyway, and Joe's like, yeah, I mean, why not, and then it lights up anyway.
Yeah.
And then it makes the other ones brighter, and it's just like, oh, come on, man.
Cynical.
Like for me, I know. I don't want to be a cynic, but like, it took that lesson, that moral lesson that we look. It's not about the orb's never gonna light up again.
Yeah,
kid, don't worry about it. It's not about the orb. It's about the relationships. Okay, and the kid's like, yeah, you're right. And then the orb lights up, and that kid's brain is not. I just learned a moral lesson. It's my orb's lit up. Yeah. It works. Completely losing the fact that you just learned a lesson.
It might have been more effective if it wasn't like a steady glow, or if it was different from the others. Still, if it was kind of like
it was very dim, but it's still
wah kind of thing. But
yeah.
I mean, to Jesse's point, like that really like moved his kids, and I get that. I like that. Sort of in direct contrast to what happened in last year's Life Day thing where Lumpy's orb breaks and Chewbacca's just like, here, have another one, which is like, what? I liked that they still used the broken one and just treated it like, now it has character.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. Jesse, what about you? What's your Oak of Arc moment? Something that you thought was
Oak of Arc is the bad one, right?
It's the bad one.
Yeah. I think there were a lot of like you talked about the tropes where it's like the orb first up bounces around. It looks I don't know if it was intentional or not, but like pinball, where it's just bing, 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 bing.
Yeah.
And they threw a lot of like false, it was like, oh, here's a fruit that looks like that. Here's a little roly-poly animal that looks like that. Here's some bauble.
They didn't look like that. They were blue. And it's like, are these kids like not very bright? Are they not the best Padawans?
Maybe not. And we never hear of them later. So
we could be hearing of the C Squad. This is the remedial team.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remedial semester on Kashyyyk.
Remedial.
But it like ends up in that like cart that goes up, and the Wookiee's like, what are we gonna do? And it's like, what? What do you mean? What are we gonna do? You hit the stop button. There's got to be a stop button. Like... And or are all of you Jedi? Can't one of you just like lift it?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Just will it out of there. Will it.
Yeah. It taps into some of my frustrations. I just finished watching The Acolyte earlier today.
Don't get Steve started. No. We can't go down this road.
I'm sorry that you had to do that.
But for me, there's always been this tension in Star Wars of like, are they Jedi or not? And where it's like this idea of like, why aren't they just lifting the orb up with their mind, or like having
Yeah.
Yoda do that. Like I get that these guys are Padawans; they might not be able to, but where are the adults?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought they actually did a decent job of like talking to the. I don't remember the name. There was Yoda, and then there was the like.
Zia Zana, who is Nassim Pedrad from Saturday Night Live or New Girl
Okay.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh no way! Really?
It is, yeah.
And like, so I thought that was one thing I did like was that they didn't just like, no, don't tell the adults. They actually talked to the adults. And the adults
Yeah.
were like, yes, why don't you find it?
Yeah.
And the kids are like, nah, we're going to wander around in a market.
Yeah.
But it's like the adults could have gone with them and just been like, hey, Wookiee, stop that thing for a second or, use the Force. But they
Yeah.
never do that.
Well, this is like a Steve nitpicky thing. But
Yeah,
I was
you're
thinking,
being me. I feel
like, no, I
Is
have
this what
one
I
too.
sound
though.
like?
I have one
Is this
too.
what I sound like?
They dropped the Life Day Orb, which is like this sacred thing to all Wookiees, and it's bouncing around the market, and like all the Wookiees that are there just like cannot be bothered with the fact that
Yeah.
the Life Day Orb is bouncing around.
point.
Like everyone in this market would know exactly what that was and be like, "Oh crap, let me go grab this." But they're kind of like,
Everyone except the kids who were grabbing like pumpkins and
Right.
animals and
Everything
like
not it. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. So I have like my honorable mention is I like the character of Nubs. I don't know why they didn't just make him an Ewok. He's just a little blue bear.
Yeah.
But I wish that he was just an Ewok.
I do agree.
think
It would have
that
been
would've been-
really cool to have a little Jedi youngling Ewok.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Jedi Walkling. Like, very
I mean, why
cool.
make him look like that?
would that have worked in the canon though? Like because if it's
Probably
High
not.
Republic, it's before they like
Yeah.
are at Endor. I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't decide with Nubs whether I think the whole episode should have been about him or he should have been cut. Like I was kind of like,
Yeah, it was.
The plucky. He's like the droid in
That's
the
true.
show, right? He's like
Yeah.
he's the comic relief animal. Like
Yeah.
he's a porg, or he's Dio, or he's BB-8. So he's like the little plucky character in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So which stinks that he isn't an Ewok. I agree. That
Yeah.
actually kind of makes
So-
sense. So I wonder what they did to.
I'm sure that Jesse's right. I mean, like, Ewoks weren't part of the equation. Like, nobody knew what an Ewok was when they showed up.
I
there.
don't
That's
think
not why
they
they
thought
did it,
that.
but-
There's no
Yeah.
way they're thinking that deep.
Okay.
The stupid
All right.
decisions that Disney Star Wars has made recently, I doubt they were like, wait,
Steve,
we
it's the
should
holidays.
stop
Please.
before we make this.
Think of the
stupid
children. It's
decision and
Christmas.
Make it an Ewok.
Here's my
It's
actual
Life Day, Nicholas. Life Day.
You're right.
Life Day, yeah.
My actual Oak of Arc is that it was not. I feel like it would have been cool if the character that they were with was Itchy, like Chewbacca's dad from the
Oh,
original
yeah.
holiday special. Because the timeline works out. Wookiees are like
Yeah.
400 years or whatever, and this is
Yeah.
like 200 years before that. So like, I don't know, like. Yeah,
Young
maybe it would've been-
Itchy, yeah.
Maybe it would have been corny, but this could have been like a thing where like they don't make a big deal out of it, but it's like an if you know kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I mean, you're already tying into the holiday special. Just like give us that little Easter egg for
Well-
like the hardcores.
Skeleton Crew does so good at the if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Right? So Jesse, I don't know if you've seen Skeleton Crew yet, but
I have.
did you see in the little elephant kid's house that they on the table was a little like
Yeah.
cartoon show,
Yeah.
little 3D
Oh,
cartoon
yeah,
show.
yeah.
It's the same one that
Lumpy.
I actually mentioned
Lumpy
that.
was watching. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was not the same, but like very similar.
Oh, it's there's
right.
no way.
It
that
is.
they
It is
weren't. Yeah.
clearly a copy of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. Like it would have been really cool.
Well, I mean, there are 2 Life Day episodes, so we talked about this one this year. We're saving the other one for next year. Maybe
Yeah.
Itchy shows up in that one. Who knows? We don't know. Ichiwawa moments, good stuff. What's your good stuff, Jesse? What did you like? Your favorite?
I
part?
actually did like the fact that the orb lit up at the end.
Okay.
Like I thought that was nice. I'm with Isaac on this one. Also, honorable mention, not directly related to the episode per se, but my kids have started saying it's a Life Day miracle as kind of a joke, which has been a lot of fun.
That's perfect. Yeah, I love that. Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, I get Steve's point, but I agree. I thought it was I much preferred it to just being like, here's your new orb, kid. I liked that they use the old broken one. But anyway, what about you, Steve? What's your Ichiwawa moment?
I thought it was cool that the little girl list they were like, oh, you're gonna go to Kashyyyk, so she's like, oh, I'm gonna try and learn as much, Shiriwook.
Shere Khan. Shere Khan.
Yeah, no, Shere Khan. No,
Yeah,
Wookiees.
that's actually on Duolingo now, so you can go ahead and check that
That'd be
out
so cool.
if you want.
I bet Klingon's on there. That would have been hilarious.
Klingon is on Duolingo.
Is it really on Duolingo?
That's a
oh
fact.
my god.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
For sure.
Does the green bird turn red when you choose?
I hope it does.
It attacks you actually.
Instead of an owl, it's just a targ. Be beautiful.
That'd be so great. But yeah, like I thought that was cool. Like you know, like because we don't really get any person speaking Wookiee, and that always bothered me that like Han never did like a grunt or anything to like to prove a point or something like that. It always he spoke English and understood Chewbacca, and Chewbacca understood English.
Yeah,
and so
he does it in Solo.
Oh, he does.
But yeah, you're right. For the most part, yeah, he does not.
When does he do it in Solo? Is it like when they're in the dungeon thing?
When they first meet.
When they're in the dungeon and they're tied up.
Yep.
The muddy muck thing or whatever.
Mud wrestling.
That's the scene. Yeah.
Mud wrestling. Yeah.
The mud wrestling that everybody wanted.
Yeah.
I think for me, even though like there was lots of ways they could have used their powers that might have helped them, I kind of liked how she was like, no, I'm going to go rogue, and how she like was pulling the orb towards her, and they were all like, oh my gosh, she's doing it, because it's like hard for them, you know? So I liked that. And then I liked as she was starting to fall, I assumed that it was going to be Yoda or Zia Zana who was doing it. And so when it cut to not just one of the others, but like both of the other Padawans, like together holding her steady, I just thought that was kind of a good, like, because they're not really good at the powers yet. They haven't mastered it. You know, it took two of them. It just felt, again, very like, that's what a Padawan at this stage, you know, that would be a big deal, you know, for them to do. And I thought it was perfect to have the music come in at that point when they're like lowering it down. It just added a little bit of gravitas. So I really liked that moment. And it's the thing that kind of solidified it for me as like, I like this. I'm into this.
Teamwork makes the dream work, man.
That's what I said. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, how many yub nubs do we give this out of 5?
This is tough because for me, like, sometimes I do base my number on the last episode I saw, admittedly. I didn't hate it, but I thought it was okay. You know, like, it's enough for me to be like, oh, maybe I should watch this show, you know?
Yeah.
I think the next episode had highlights that were really good, but then also stuff that was really kind of lame, where I was like, oh, this is kind of a really this is a show for, like, my 7-year-old, you know, or maybe even, like, a 5-year-old, really, even that age. And so it's way lower for me, so I would just be looking at it for, like, deep cuts and things like that, or member berries, but I don't know, I didn't hate it. I'd give it like a 4 or 4.25, I think.
Okay.
I'm going to stick with that.
Very specific. 4.137.
What about you, Jesse?
I think I'm grouchy about kids programs in general. I personally would give it a 3, but I think it deserves like a 4.
Okay.
I mean, a 3 is like, that's in the middle. We're out of 5.
I don't feel any need to watch this again, and I'm fine with my kids not being a show that we watch together. But it wasn't awful. It's not as bad as
you're gonna have to watch the second Life Day episode next year. So
we did watch that, and I did like that one. So
okay, all right, perfect.
Well, try and remember it.
I won't.
I mean, I'm kind of right in there. I mean, I would say probably maybe I'd lean more towards 3.5 versus 4. I guess 2 reasons. One, like, it didn't feel super holiday. I mean, I know it's Life Day. We're not just doing like Santa Claus Christmas, but I like it when they still manage to give it kind of a festive, like I think the collection we read last year really did a good job of having sort of.
You didn't feel that? You didn't feel the holiday? Like when he's like, "Oof, I'm stuffed," you know, and they eat their dinner and then they go and that's just what I thought. I was like, "Oh yeah,
okay,
it's Christmas," you know, like
right.
He stuffed himself at the feast table, you know, like you do at Christmas and Thanksgiving.
I mean, for me, I feel like if I didn't know that it was based on a holiday special, if that's where we were coming from, I would watch this episode and not think like I ought to watch that around Christmas. You know what I mean? And
Not until you see the life free.
Yeah, I miss that, and I feel like I have seen episodes of this show that I like much more than this. Just based on the action and the different things that happen. So
yeah,
this is one that I would definitely revisit, and I think I like it more than my son does. So
well, you paid a bill, so
maybe that's right.
You own the remote.
Good
We're
job,
watching what
Steve.
I want.
Yeah.
You tell him, take that, buddy.
I'll say, Steve from This Endorian Life said that I own the remote.
It's mine.
Jesse already brought up the Acolyte, Steve, and I wanted to tell you that Kendra and I were recording the 90210 Christmas special, and the Acolyte came up, and I was like, I liked it, Steve hates it, so somehow we got to just move forward as friends. And Kendra was like, well, I haven't watched it, but everything I've heard from it, I think I would agree with Steve. And I was like, shut up. What are you...
You can't do that, though. I mean, that's
not how this works.
She's got to experience it herself, but that is hard. Like, I did experience it all myself to formulate my own opinions rather than, like, listening to what other people said, because, like, sometimes you, like, angry watch. I mean, I guess I did kind of, like, angry watch it.
Because, I remember.
After the first 2 episodes, I was like, angry. I am not going to like this show. Yeah. I am not going to like it.
You were pre-angry from watching YouTube videos about what was going to happen. We have it on tape.
Well, I was. Okay, you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay. It's all right. Jesse, you can tell me what you think about it when we're not recording. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, did you like it? Where are you at? Thumbs up, thumbs down, sideways?
Sorry, I take a phone call. I just have to. But then I have to.
All right.
I wasn't a fan.
You weren't a fan. Okay.
Not especially, no.
I guess it's just me who liked it.
And I mean, and the ratings tend to show that it was just you.
No, I get it. Yeah. I have to be okay with that fact, and that's fine. Okay, well, that's going to do it for our holiday episode, and I sure feel like I need some Wookiee Nog. I don't like the sound of that, actually. I said it, and I don't.
When you said that, I was thinking Wookiee Nog in my head, but you said it, so...
That's just regular... That's regular eggnog with a big scoop of hair in it. That's all it is, So... Sorry.
And on that note...
Sorry, everyone. That's right.
Everyone's going to go take a shower.
That's right. Well... Happy holidays, happy new year, everybody. Next year, we're going to start a deeper focus on the world of Star Wars Lego, beginning with Rebuild the Galaxy Episode 1, and I'm excited about that, because I haven't seen it at all.
Me too. I
have a Lego Star Wars Advent calendar waiting for me in the other room. So
we have it's not Lego, but we do have a Star Wars Advent calendar that we've been doing. It is a Life Day tree, and every day you pull one out and a new ornament hangs on the Life Day tree.
Are they just orbs, or you can do it like cool things?
The first one is an orb, and then as you go on, it's different. It's different things every day. So it's not just orbs, and it is a lot of fun.
The thing I like about the Legos is that they're toys, and
I
get to play with them.
This
is a gift to me, and it was very clear that it was given to me and not my kids.
Not your children.
And so...
Okay. All right, well, happy Life Day, guys. Jesse,
and
always
also
good to have you on the podcast. See, that's what I said. That's Jesse's joke, Steve.
Did he say also with you? I missed it.
Yeah,
he did.
Well,
happy Life
Day.
Pay
attention, Stephen.
He did. I called it last week.
I just tuned. I just zoned out there for like a second.
Yeah, you gotta pay attention all the time. I'm bringing in zingers. Might be the same zinger, but I'm bringing it in every time.
Zinger, it's a yearly zinger.
If it worked once, it'll work 50 times. Is the Jesse Ryals motto.
Yeah, that is.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, guys, I gotta go hang my orbs. So we got.
That was very personal.
I don't want to hear about your orbs.
I think they have an ointment for that.
This Endorian Life was brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Make sure to check out the other Radio Meanwhile holiday specials, including Happy Holidays, Mr. Howlett on Previously on X-Men, Hot Frosty on 90210, Here We Go, and a special New Year's edition of Comic Book Coffee Break. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook at Endorian Life, and you can follow the network on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads.